It's saying please sign me in again. I'm having a problem.
Uh, that doesn't make any sense. You already are in. We can all see you and hear you. So can we
Good,
please
I'm
start?
glad.
Because we really got.
Has admitted you to the meeting. Okay. Good morning, everybody. My name is Deborah Greif. I am the parent co-chair of the Family Provider Information Committee. My co-chair is Ms. Rose Saul. She is, well, having a little technical difficulty at the moment with her microphone. So our purpose of this committee is to see that parents and providers, whether you're from a care manager agency or any other, that we can share information together so we can help the families whose children have developmental disabilities, so that the parents and we can give the right services. And if we know of any new services or agencies have new openings, this is one of the perfect times to acknowledge this. I want to hope everybody had a great Mother's Day. I also want to let everybody know that on Wednesday, June 18th, is the Brooklyn Family Support Fair. Both websites, the Brooklyn Advisory Council as well as the Brooklyn DD Council, has the link for you to participate. If you want a table, you need to click on right away and you will be shown the fees. But parents are not charged, and neither are professionals. The only one we're charging are people who need a table for the fair. So, and that will be held at the Brooklyn College Student Union Building. Now, do you want to, let me see, Rose, if you can visually look at me for a second, because we are really glad today we have a great speaker, and her name is going to be Carrie Banks, and she will be explaining soon what the inclusive services of the Brooklyn Public Library is. We've been now, as you know, my other hat, I am the chairperson for the Brooklyn Family Support Service Advisory Council, and we have to thank Ms. Banks. We've been able to go around to different libraries in Brooklyn so that people know who the Advisory Council, the Brooklyn Inclusive Services, as well as the Brooklyn DD Councils, what services and roles we have. So we're going to let Ms. Banks first do her presentation, and then afterwards we will ask for if you have any announcements. You, of course, right now can.
Uh,
Yes, sir.
housekeeping rules. You forgot housekeeping rules procedures.
So sorry. We will now do the housekeeping, but let me finish the other sentence anyway. If you have announcements, please put them on the chat to make sure we do download the chat after the meeting and we save it. And then we make sure it's on the websites, both websites. Also, I just want everybody to know the meeting's from 10 to 11. At 11 a.m., we will then have the legislative committee, which will be chaired by Miss Lucina Clark and Maria Willis. But right now, I'm going to let Mr. Christopher Greif, the treasurer for the Brooklyn DD Council, to do the housekeeping rules. Take it away, Chris.
First of all, good morning, everyone. As to remind people, please keep an eye on your Wi-Fi because, as you know, we do have rainstorms and we are reporting some people's Wi-Fi goes in and out. So please be alert. And also, before you come on, please check your microphones and cameras before you come on because those systems sometimes does get a little staticky and a little sensitive as you are switching from Windows 10 to 11. As a reminder, everyone, please keep your microphones muted. As a remind you, unless you are the co-chairs, vice chair, or the speaker at this time. We remind everyone to please make sure you do your part. If you need caption, please click on the more button, and you will see caption that will be online. Caption is always available, and if you need to translate to a different language, it is available as well. Also, just to remind everyone, once the speaker is finished, we will always ask you guys to have questions. As a reminder also, if you have announcements, please put that into the chat box. If we have time, we will do announcements at the same time. As people are coming in, we do apologize for the delay, but I remind everyone it is better to come in a little 10 to 15 minutes early so we could start on schedule so we don't interfere with the next committee meetings and other schedules. As a reminder, everyone, microphones should be muted, not unmute yourself unless you have your hand raised or mention on the chat that I have a question. And please remind you, this caption is available and it's everything you say is duty noted, including this meeting is recorded. To keep recording minutes so people miss the meeting, they will get the information. So at this time, I am going to just remind everyone, as Deborah's already mentioned, the Legislative Committee is at 11 o'clock. The topic is New York State budget passed and ideas that we will discuss with the budget. It's not just one budget, it's all budgets at the same time. As Deborah mentioned earlier, please make sure you register for the Family Support Fair that is coming up on June 18th. If you scan the barcode, you get on the link. And as a reminder, please pass this to all your families. If families are here, please make sure you register for the Family Support Fair. We do need everyone to please register. So when you enter Brooklyn College Student Center, they need to identify who you are for safety reasons and security. At this time, we will remind you all to please register for the fair in Brooklyn on June 18th. We will let people in. It is from 9:30 to 2 p.m. All agencies who have booths, please make sure you're there early to set up on schedule and everything else. Any questions, please email Mr. Brian Rothstein at that email in the bottom. If families are having trouble, cannot do it on the computer, they can call the 718-264-5084 from the Advisory Council line, and we will get back to those families as soon as possible. But as a reminder, please keep your line. When you're leaving a message, please say it out clearly and slowly so we can understand you. If we don't get back to you, means we did not hear you clearly or the numbers were not clear. Please, let's do our part. At this time right now, I am going to ask if Rose is available, back on her camera is working, if she could say a few words, followed by Deborah. And then
Good
we'll do the
morning,
speaker.
everyone. Can you all hear me?
Yes, Rose, we
All
can hear
right.
you
Good
loud and
morning,
clear.
everyone. I apologize for my tardiness this morning. My commute from Staten Island was hectic, but I made it here, and I'm happy to see everyone, on the call. This is the Family Provider Information Committee. We happy to have Kerry Banks this morning with us, who's going to be presenting. I am also working on the agenda for next year. As you know, we're not going to be meeting. This is going to be our last meeting for now. We will resume again in September. So I am working on the agenda for the rest of the year once we resume back in September. So I just wanted to highlight that this is an opportunity. If you have any topics, any subject matter you would like to have us discuss in this committee, please try to brainstorm and don't hesitate to send them towards my way and Debbie's so we can contact whoever the speakers that you might have in mind, and we can make it happen. Again, this committee is a collaboration with providers, families, as well as the CCOs. So anything that you would like to see happening, I've already booked SCA for October, for our October meeting. I am looking into doing something with Medicaid in September. So we have a lot, that I think we can bring to families. So please don't hesitate to reach out with any topics that you may have. We have some other topic coming on with self-direction because more people are asking for more update on self-direction. So we'll have another series again on self-direction as well. I'm trying to get somebody for housing. There's a lot of changes happening in OPWDD in terms of residential. I will aim to have someone maybe from OPWDD, present for residential changes, what type of residences are available to the people that we support. So those are the ideas that I have so far. But if you have anything else that you think will be beneficial for the families, the providers on the call, as well as the CCOs, please don't hesitate to reach out to us and we'll make it happen. Thanks, everyone. It's good to see everyone on the call.
Madam Co-Chair, Ms. Greif, any last words? And just to remind you, you are muted. We have to be careful with echo.
I'm back. Okay, okay, whatever's going on, I'm gonna stop. Okay, I'm back. No, I'm not.
No, I'm not. No,
You know what,
I'm
Chris,
not.
just go forward to
you
the,
know what, Chris, just go forward to
with
the,
our
The
with our
presentation.
guest.
Okay, at this moment, since Deborah has both devices on and she's got to mute one of them, not unmute both because they're both linked, you got to remove one of them. At this moment right now, Rose, is okay? I can introduce Carrie. Thank you, because I have
Yes,
to do. I have to do.
that's
Okay. I'll do this quickly and easy for her, and also as you see the ladies there, because at this time we're going to introduce Carrie Banks, the Director of Inclusive Service for the Brooklyn Public Library. Carrie, I have a little history on Carrie. Banks, as you guys know, works for the Inclusive Service for Brooklyn Public Library. Carrie has been really helpful giving out to even agencies who do attend the Development Resource Fair, but do share that information at libraries. So we do want to thank her so much. Great stuff that I think this will share to everyone, including all into the summer and fall. So at this time, I'm going to introduce Carrie as I stop sharing one side to the other. Carrie, you're on.
Good morning. So I am having some technical difficulties, which unfortunately I cannot blame on the weather. It is, let's just go with technical difficulties. So I'm not going to be screen sharing. I think Chris is going to is going to share the Brooklyn Public Library's website for me. And I'll make reference to it as we go along. So today, I think most of you are familiar, at least, with inclusive services at Brooklyn Public Library, and those are our services for children and teens with disabilities. So I'm going to talk about those, but I want to talk about some other things that we do at the library that you might find surprising. So first, I'm going to start with a question, and that is, what can you borrow at the library? You can shout it out or put it in chat if you want, and I'll get you started. You can borrow books. You can borrow audiobooks. You can borrow books on electronic books. You can borrow movies and magazines. Anybody have any ideas what else you can borrow in the library? At the library. Okay, folks, drink some coffee and I'll give you some more ideas. You can borrow movies. You can download movies, stream movies. You can borrow vinyl. So for those of you of a certain age like me, those are records. You can borrow records at the library. You can play them at the library. You can take them home and play them at home. You can borrow laptops and Wi-Fi. We circulate personal Wi-Fis. You can borrow rooms at the library, sewing machines, musical instruments, video editing equipment. We have two recording studios and video editing studios at different libraries, and of course, telescopes. So those are some of the things that you can borrow at the library, and it all starts with your library card. We have 61 plus locations in Brooklyn. The newest one is the Arts Library at BAM, or it's not actually at BAM, but it's part of the BAM complex, Brooklyn Academy of Music. And we're very excited about that. And prior to that, the newest library was the Center for Brooklyn Culture, and that used to be the Brooklyn Historical Society. My favorite thing about the Center for Brooklyn Culture is the first exhibit I saw there quite by accident. I went in to use the bathroom and I found an exhibit on Jackie Robinson. And it was amazing. It was just this whole floor of pictures and memorabilia. And even though the Dodgers were before my time in Brooklyn, I really enjoyed that exhibit. So Brooklyn Public Library, in addition to things that you can borrow or use at the library, we have a lot of different services. And I think some of these will be new to you. We have services for people experiencing homelessness. We have immigration services. We have services for people who are impacted by the justice systems. We have services for older adults, and we have mobile libraries. and of course our adult learning. Chris, you see where it says services on the website? Can you click on that? Yeah. Okay. And there, see where it says continuing education? Our website is the portal to all of our services and programs. It's in the first column, the first one in the first column. Up, over one more column where it says educational services under the logo. There you go. So we do have high school equivalencies and GED prep and pre-GED prep at the library. These are mostly for people without disabilities, though they have worked with people with disabilities before. So it's something to think about. They do need to be out of school, though. People need to be out of school. If they're still eligible for Department of Education services, they are not eligible for the pre-GED and GED things. We have English language learning at the library. And what's really cool about that is that we have not just sort of learning English, but you can learn English for particular fields. So we have an English for business class. We have our Career and Business Center. And Chris, if you can go into services again, I want to talk a little bit about that. Our Career and Business Center, and that's at the central library, but it also has sort of outposts at different libraries. So if you go, Chris, yes, services, and then here under that second column, Business and Career Center under professional services. Top one in that column, one up. There you go. So at our Career Center, we do everything from help people get resumes together to help them explore what they want to do. And sometimes, you need a job, but you don't know what you want. We can do practice interview sessions. We have, we can help people with the technology that they need to learn to do careers and apply for jobs. Can you scroll down on that screen, Chris? And yeah, that's also remote. We can do that by email. And we have resume and interview coaching, which is really exciting. One of the issues a lot of our, the people that we work with have are the teens and adults with developmental disabilities is they don't have resumes that reflect their actual skills and experience. And we can help with that. We can also sort of help them find places to build their skills and experiences. I know that very different from what you do, right? So, we're not certainly a replacement. We are certainly not a replacement for career placement services through the agencies. But for someone who doesn't maybe need that level of support, we can help people find volunteer opportunities at the library and other places, and to sort of think very broadly and differently maybe about their careers and job. And also, of course, for their family members, parents, brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, grandparents who are looking for support in career and business areas. We also have assistance for entrepreneurs, people who want to start their own business. We have a whole Power Up program that helps people go through the process of starting their own businesses. And we have personal financial literacy workshops and programs. So I mentioned earlier our adult English language learning. So I'm going to move on to justice initiatives. Again, Chris, if you go into services, yeah, thank you. And let's see, scroll down a little bit maybe. Should be there. Of course, it's not. Okay, so let's move ahead to immigrant services, and we will circle back to justice initiatives. So immigrant services are really important, right? It's in that last column under others, that the fourth column at the very top, immigrant services. One over from there. Whoops. There you go. Immigrant services. So I think this is very much on people's mind these days. And can you scroll down just a little bit there, Chris? So the English language classes that I mentioned earlier are some of our services for immigrants. We also help people prepare for the citizenship tests. We have books about history and books about the content of the tests, and books on to help actually take the test. Those materials, many of them are in plain English, written at somewhere between a 3rd and 5th grade level. So they are easier to understand. We have legal services for immigrants at the library. We have some free services ourselves that we provide through workshops, and we make referrals to other agencies that do free and low cost services for immigrant legal services. Can we scroll down a little more there, Chris? We have cultural programs from, I don't know how many cultures or languages, but at least 15 languages. We provide service programs in at least 15 languages throughout Brooklyn. And of course, our Job and Career Center is part of our immigrant services. And scroll down a little more there, Chris. Okay, and again, our adult literacy, English language learning, and our services for older adults, which I was going to get to in a minute. But if you can go back up to that services list for me at the top. We have services for older adults. And I know this is certainly an issue in the developmental disability community. All right, where is it? Well, it's there. If you go into the search box and type in older adults, you'll find our services to older adults. These are programs that you don't have to search for it, Chris. I can just talk about it. Or you can, that's great. Either way. So these are services specifically developed towards the interest of older adults. And I know we've talked a lot about what does it mean to retire from, say, a day hab program or something similar. Well, one thing it can mean is going to more programs at the library that are sort of age appropriate, right? So some of them are organized around topics that may have been interested or popular when we were younger. I actually count myself as an older adult now. So maybe music from the 1970s. Personally, I like music from the 60s, but that was a little bit before my time. Or programs about cultural phenomena from different eras. We have a very competitive Wii Bowling League that is for older adults, and a lot of our adults with developmental disabilities have participated in that on and off over the years. We still have a few Wiis. We are still doing this, and you can check your local library for that. But it's a really fun program, and you got to really be ready to talk some trash if you're gonna join the Wii Bowling Leagues and do the bowling. And the other thing about these programs is that they take place during the day, usually in the mornings when older adults and retired adults are available and looking for things to do. So that's it's a little bit about our services for older adults. I want to circle back to our justice initiatives. So, I mean, one thing that we know is in both juvenile facilities and adult facilities, the majority of people who are incarcerated in this country have a disability. Along the lines, percentages run from 70 to 95%. Many of those are related to learning, and many of them have learning disabilities. Many also have intellectual disabilities and autism spectrum disorder. So incarcerated people are very much part of our population. And we have services that are really important and otherwise inaccessible. So we have a televisiting program where people who are on the outside can video visit with their incarcerated loved ones. That used to be primarily at Rikers Island, but I'm sure you've heard there's been lots of things going on at Rikers, so that's suspended at Rikers right now, but we are doing it with facilities upstate. This is often parents visiting with children, and I will say incarcerated children visiting with their parents. So that's one thing to consider. And of course, it's like all of our services, free. Every time I mention that, I talk about that with kindergartners. I talk about it in school and things like that. And every time I mention that in Brooklyn, somebody comes up to me and says, my mother or my father is incarcerated. I want to talk to them. Or I didn't know that we could talk about having incarcerated relatives. And I think that's true in our communities too. So ask and think about, how we can keep those connections going and alive. Again, both for our individuals who are incarcerated and um, for our individuals who have family members who are incarcerated. So those televisiting programs, once people come out of the institutions, again, whether that's juvenile detention or adult or jail or prison, we have reentry services for them. We have 2 reentry navigators, both of whom were formerly incarcerated people. They know the systems inside and they know the systems outside. So everything from trying to get a copy of the rap sheet to getting ID and things like that are very complicated once you have been incarcerated. And it's something that might not be in our skill set, right, as developmental disability specialists. And that's something that the library can help with. And we also do jail and prison services. When we can, we do book cart services at Rikers Island. We do reference by mail to the different facilities all over, as well as other things. And again, that's something that people just don't usually associate with the library. All right. That's kind of an overview of some of the services people know the least about. I'm just checking my notes. This is the PowerPoint presentation that I can't show you right now. I'm sorry. Our mobile library services. These are really cool. So some of you know that I used to run our Kids Mobile, and it was alone and by itself. But now Kids Mobile has peers. Yay! We have 4 mobile libraries altogether now, and they are housed in the Satellite Services Department. Though I still have a little bit of sway in there. If you're looking to get one of our mobile libraries, I can help. We have a Tech Mobile, we have 2 book mobiles, and the Kids Mobiles. And they do a variety of things. They help to provide library services in neighborhoods where the libraries are closed. They don't substitute for the closed libraries, but they work with community agencies to do pop-up library services. They go to community events. We have an art mobile that goes around, and we hire artists, and they lead art workshops in the communities itself. So there's some really cool services there. You can find those in the search box by looking for satellite services or Bookmobile or Kids Mobile. Okay, so so now that really is an overview of a lot of the things we do outside of children and families, youth and family services. And of course, in youth and family services, we have programs for children and teens. My particular department, Inclusive Services, makes sure that Brooklyn Public Library services are accessible to children and teens with disabilities, their families, their support people, their educators, their care managers. We have lots of programs and can answer lots of questions. Some of our current programs include makerspace programs for neurodivergent teens. We have anime workshops again for neurodivergent teens. We're going to be launching a writers workshop over the summer. For neurodivergent teens, we are planning a sensory-friendly Comic-Con at our Central Library in October. I think it's October 26th, but I'm not sure. On a Sunday morning at our Central Library when it's closed, so it'll be quieter. We have arts and crafts programs. Of course, we have our monthly Music for Autism concerts. They're not monthly. We take July and August off. The next one is on June 21st. And we're very excited about that. And I put in chat earlier, I just want to mention again that we have expanded our drumming lessons. So we have opportunities for 3 teens or young adults to get free drumming lessons. They need to be autistic. It's the one program where we actually, require that. We don't normally. And for the rest of our programs are inclusive. So for youth with and without disabilities. So we have 3 openings for potential drummers who want individual free lessons at the library. And those will be at the newly renovated and reopened Bedford Library. Otherwise, we do have our inclusive services as our regular walk-in programs. We have our regular drop-in programs, and they are walk-in, in fact, except at Greenpoint. where you kids with and without disabilities can hear stories together and play together. We have two separate ones, one for the young guys, birth to age 5, and one for the older kids. For the older kids, 6 to 12, we have gardening programs as well as arts and crafts programs, and they're all literacy based, right? We're trying to support the literacy of children with disabilities by using universal design for learning techniques. We are not teachers, but we can get them excited about libraries. We can support their reading. We can help with individual, questions and things like that. But mostly, we can make reading fun and help them. We call that print motivation, want to learn to read, and it's one of the 6 early literacy skills. And I think, kind of as an overview, I'm just checking my notes. Yeah, and we are into gardening season, so our inclusive services branches, as well as many of our other branches, are starting their gardening programs, and this is a lot of fun. And I don't know if you know this, but the Flatbush Library on Linden Avenue near Flatbush, like literally half a block away from Flatbush Avenue, has an active gardening program, and it is geared to the needs of adults with developmental disabilities. We have at least 2 day hab programs that come on a regular basis, and it's a great program. It's in the mornings. It's run by Maura, who is comfortable working with adults with developmental disabilities, and yeah, so you should check that out. You can call the Flatbush Library directly to find out more about that. So that's kind of my overview of the libraries, of the little things you may not know. Oh, do you know that there is an abandoned train station at our central library? Or that we have a 200-seat accessible auditorium at our central library, and a robust schedule of programming there, from music to lectures to reading and sometimes movies. And individual libraries have their own programs and schedules. Again, they sometimes have music, they have book clubs. Some of them even have had next chapter book clubs. If you want to start a next chapter book club, I'd love to talk to you about that. Those are book clubs specifically for adults with intellectual disabilities. We've run them before. I'd love to run them again. So give me a call, or shoot me an email if you're interested in something, helping me organize something like that. And I think that's something else that you know about inclusive services. At least we do nothing on our own, right? So those wonderful developmental disability fairs, those are with you guys, with the Brooklyn Family Support Services Advisory Council. We've been making our way all over Brooklyn, and the other day, Chris and I spent an hour and a half on the phone planning next year's locations for those fairs, and I think you'll enjoy them.
And
Toby,
you're gonna say
yes, yeah, we're still
Tuesday
confirming
else
dates and all that,
later
but we
on.
have a plan. So, and I called one of the branches and I said, well, are you free? We'd like to use the room in May, whatever it was, 2026. And she was like, wait, whoa, that's a long time out. Yeah, we do need to do that. We need to plan a long time out. And if you want to hold a program at the library or book a library room, that's not one of our individual rooms, you need to do that a long time out too. And I should warn you that the Central Library is basically undergoing a gut renovation while it is still open. So half of the library is on the Eastern Parkway side is closed. So it's much harder to get meeting rooms there if that's something you're used to doing. But again, I can help you navigate that if you want. I'm going to put my contact information back into chat or into chat again. And hopefully people have questions for me, like, how do I get a library card?
I have questions for you. It's
Uh-huh.
Deborah.
You usually do.
Question. What abandoned train station there is at the Central? Where?
It's in the basement. And sometimes we do, it's like, I think on 3 levels underground. Every once in a while they do tours of it. The next time that happens, I will shoot you an email.
Yeah, let me know with that. Now, okay, the other one is, first I want to say, before I ask the other question, I'm going to thank you, because the advisory council, it made life a lot easier for us because we were able to go around different parts of Brooklyn, and we appreciated that because we're working with the library, we weren't charged a fee. The one thing also, I would appreciate, can you also explain if we have meetings? I don't think we're allowed to, are we allowed to bring food and drink in? I mean, I'm not talking about alcohol, of course, I'm talking about like water, because I remember I'm not allowed to use a hot pot or something to plug in, so I want to know your rule. Could you please explain?
So
Sorry.
I just put, somebody asked for the link to the library. I put it in. Technically speaking, no, we don't allow food or drink at the programs in the libraries, and never hot plates or anything like that. You can, but as long as you're working with inclusive services, we can. There are ways around that. So yeah, usually you can bring the light refreshments,
So I could bring water, cold water.
water, donuts, coffee, tea setups, things like that.
That's nothing that could be in.
No open flames, nothing that's gonna yeah, just the food basically is how to think of that.
Just asking because I want
Please
everybody.
also bring some napkins.
Yes, napkins, paper towels, anything to keep everything clean. And we are the
Absolutely.
ones who must clean up after ourselves. The reason I'm asking this is because it's wonderful that we can go around, but I don't want anyone calling me up and says, you didn't tell me we can't have certain type of refreshments.
Oh yeah, sure.
So I
Thanks
want
for
to
that.
also, yeah. And also, I mean, I'm also pray that we get, one of our libraries we get is my home crest. Love to do
Yes.
meetings there. It's very far for me to go to. All right, but Carrie, thank you. The advisory council.
It'll be announced.
Yes, I
It'll
know.
be
I know.
announced.
I could put my wish out there. It's up to me, my making my wishes. But Carrie, I want you to know how much we all appreciate of all the help you've given this council, both councils really, because we were able to get help with both councils, and we appreciate it. Does anyone have any questions for Carrie? Please raise your hand. And Chris, I can't see them
So
persons.
Excuse me, Madam Co-Chair. Madam Co-Chair, hold on a second. I was going to ask, let Rose has a question, and then Rochelle, if she has a question.
Yes, that's why I
Let's make
said
sure
I
we follow
can't
those
see
procedures,
everything. That's why I
not jump the gun.
asked.
So Kerry, I just wanted to comment to say thank you for this informative presentation. I didn't know that we have all these services that is offered in the library. And one of my questions is for the sewing machine. I know you mentioned we could borrow like a sewing machine. So one of my day hub program, as a matter of fact, wanted to do like, like a class, a sewing class. So I was just wondering if that's something maybe we can partner together to do for the day hub program. We have a few individuals that are actually interested in like, learning how to sew, and, maybe that's something that we can work on together. That's really good to hear that. I didn't even think people are still like using sewing machine in some of those places anymore.
Absolutely. If you want to borrow the sewing machine, you need to you can go into your local library with your library card. And go to the desk and ask about borrowing the sewing machine. It takes a week. We have to send it from one branch, wherever it currently is, to that location so you can pick it up. And then you can pick it up, take it home, and make beautiful things.
All right.
And
Do you know how long you could borrow it for? How long is the?
I do not. At
Okay.
least 3 weeks.
3 weeks. Okay.
But you might be able to renew it too. So I don't know.
Okay. That's good. Well, thank you. That's great.
You're welcome.
Rochelle, Vice Chair of the DD Council, do you have a question for Carrie? Rochelle, if we can't hear you, we don't hear your voice. Rochelle, we still don't hear you or see you.
Chris, while we wait, I'm sorry.
Still don't hear you, Rochelle. So
This is Carrie. One thing that
yeah,
comes up a
I
lot
thought I
is
just heard it, but then
Chris, I just want to add one more thing here. one thing that comes up a lot is
ahead.
volunteer opportunities, and we do have volunteer opportunities. Um, you need to go to the library that you want to volunteer at to arrange that. And I'd say a couple of things. First of all, please don't have the case manager call and say, "I have a client who wants to volunteer at the library." We really need to see the individual with the disabilities, and never start with they have a disability. Right? Start with have the person start with why they want to volunteer and what they have to offer to the library. All right. They can volunteers can have job coaches. That's fine. I kind of like it actually. And but they're most likely to get sort of a volunteer position if they're already known to the library, right? Um, so if they use the library, if they know the staff, that's just true for all volunteers. So, and if they have an idea of what they want to do they want to shelf books? Do they want to help with the summer reading programs, things like that? So, those are just a couple of tips and to get around some of the barriers that you might find. Um, so that's about volunteers. I see Rochelle has put her comments in chat. She says, "Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry you couldn't hear me. I will continue in
Go ahead,
chat. The
Carrie.
Brooklyn Public Library is an absolute treasure. Yay! Thank you. I am so impressed with the ongoing expansion of all the different types of inclusive services. So thank you, Rochelle. It's working with organizations like this where
Uh,
that helps us expand those services to find out more about what people need, what they want. So thank you for that. And also,
mm,
yeah,
Carrie, this is also Chris again.
I was going to say, so
Go ahead,
my
Carrie.
last thing is a question for you. What
No,
would
go
you
ahead.
like to see the library doing that we are not currently doing?
And I will suggest people, if you have a question, please raise your hand or put it into the chat. But
Yeah.
Carrie, I do have a question for you on the
Hmm.
chat. It's from Dolores Khan. She wrote, "Thank you, Carrie, for a most information presentation. I have lived in Brooklyn of most of my life, and I was not aware all of the services that the Brooklyn Public Library offers."
That is so true I mean, it's true so many people, Doris, and that's why I do this. That's why I come here and talk to your group. I'm available to talk to other groups too. If if you want to bring me into a staff meeting to talk about what we do at the library, if you want to, things like that, I'm happy to do that. And of course, we will be at the fair. We'll have a table at the fair as we always do. One of the highlights of my year. So come by there and stop by and ask questions. You have my information in chat. Um, but one of the reasons I do what I do is we have our chief librarian used to be an intern. Nick Higgins used to be an intern at Inclusive Services, and while he was at Inclusive Services, Nick built out founded and built a lot of our justice initiatives, which are now its own department. But one of the stories he used to tell was he was walking down the street one day, and he sort of got to chatting with the person who was walking next to him, as you do. And the man said, he lived in the shelter that Nick had just visited, and he was on his way to the subway. Nick was walking with him and talking, and the man said to him, "I walk by that library every day. I know it's there, but I didn't know it was there for me." And and to this day, it's a bittersweet story for me, right? It's bitter because he lived there for a long time and not known that the library was him. But it's sweet because at the same time, Nick was able to tell him and everybody else at the shelter that it was for them. Brooklyn Public Library is for everybody. We have a range of services, and if and again, if we don't have the service or the book that you want, let us know and we'll try and get it. I see there's 2 raised hands, Chris.
Yes. Yeah, I was just going to say to you, we're going to go to Jackie because her hand was up, and then Rose, and Rose can
I
close
was
it up.
gonna ask, like, what does the library look like for dyslexic folks? And do you all have a space for that. Not to say like, specified disabilities, but what does it look like for folks who have dyslexia? And do you have like programming that supports folks who have it and to encourage them to still find a place? I recently read a book called Palaces for the People, and I
Mhm.
learned about the bowling program. I think it started in Brownsville or East New York, one of those, and it swayed over. But just what does it look like from that perspective?
That's a great question, Jackie. I think most of, well, no, this is a new group for me. So you don't all know that I'm dyslexic. I have the dyslexia and also dysgraphia. So this is something near and dear to my heart. What we have at the library, again, is that variety of programs and materials. So we have our new adult reader collections and our new English language and our English language learner collections that are books written on of interest to adults, right? Written at between third and fifth grade levels. So you might find a book written on a third grade about how to get your driver's license, right? We also have a lot of, I mean, tens of thousands of audiobooks that are often much easier for people like me with dyslexia to read. I am almost exclusively an audiobook reader, fiction and nonfiction. So we do that kind of thing. And then we, again, not all of our programming and not all of our services are literacy. I mean, they all focus center literacy, but they don't all require you to know how to read. And looking at some of those programs too is important. We are on the verge, oh, I'd say within the next 6 to 9 months, of launching some phonics-based readers collections and some workshops for mostly for I have to say for parents of children with learning disabilities to support the parents and to working with the phonics based programs that tend to be much better for, or research shows are much better for people with dyslexia. That's how I learned to read in the 1960s, even though that really wasn't a thing there. Literally, quite by accident, the school I was at was piloting one of the first phonics programs. And if it had not been for that, I would not now know how to read. So we do things like that, and we are building out this collection. I'd love to talk more with you about it. We can talk specifically about it, and then also what you're looking for, and see if we can integrate some of that into the library.
Thank you for your transparency. And you are my first dyslexic librarian, which is so inspiring that you found this space full of words. That is so cool. So thank you for your transparency.
Thank you, Jackie.
Carrie, one.
Rose, Carrie, also, can you look? Sorry, Rose. I was just going to say, Rose, before Rose goes on. Carrie, can you look at the chat? Someone
Okay,
else wrote
yeah.
something for you, because I know we are going to be coming into the end. Rose?
I got it.
Okay. So one last thing, Carrie. So for BCS, we have a few individuals we support that are deaf. Are there any services in the library that can help deaf individuals? Especially if we have a lot of them that are coming from Access VR, going to get employment, anyone that can support them if they need additional support in terms of resume building, work readiness skills.
Absolutely, Rose. That's the Business and Career Center that I mentioned earlier.
So so we do have people with ASL that can help those individuals.
People with ASL? I'm sorry.
Yes, with sign
language.
languages. So for individuals who
I
are
didn't
deaf,
hear that part.
deaf services, yes.
They can request. They
Okay.
can request interpreters.
Okay.
Okay. And we do have ASL story times. I know not for them, but if y'all know of any deaf kids or families, deaf adults with hearing kids, the Greenpoint Library on Wednesday mornings has programs in sign language that are bilingual, sign language English.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, thank you so much. That's pretty much it for me.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carrie.
Rose, since we have 5 minutes, Brian, I know couldn't be here because he's an IAC. He asked me to remind people of the meeting. and remind them again about the fair because some people came in late.
Yeah, I could hear you. Go ahead.
Rose, you there? Don't scare me, Rose. First of all, again, everyone, just to remind everyone, since we have 5 minutes, just to remind everyone, as reminding everyone, meetings coming up. As to remind you, the Brooklyn DD Council will be meeting this Monday. Just to remind you, Brian has emailed everyone out already this morning. Please remind everyone the meeting is this Monday coming up because the following Monday is Memorial Day weekend, which we all are not there. It's a federal holiday. The second thing is the advisory council will be also still scheduled. They're still meeting next Tuesday at also on Ring Central. As to remind you, please check the calendar and visit the websites as well. Just to remind again, everyone, I know I'm going to torment people, but we got to do it anyway. Please make sure you share this to everyone to register for the fair. The barcode automatically gets you right to the registration to register for the fair. As a reminder, everyone who came in late, please make sure you're registering. Make sure you share this to your families. We don't care which borough they're from or county. They want to come, they're welcome, but they need to be registered. And please, the day you go there, please have an ID with you. Carrie will agree with me. IDs is very important as well. And just to remind everyone again to please register for definitely attending. If you're going there just for the resource, please, it's from 9:30 to 2 p.m. So therefore, just to remind everyone, Rose and just to remind everyone, if you see this in the stations, please grab one and get to know how to sign up for the Omni account to keep track of your Omni card as well. So therefore, we're just reminding everyone, the libraries, like Carrie has one already in her hand, that postcard. Remember, the libraries can assist you because we know that other boroughs are doing it. Brooklyn, we know they're doing it because it's been up, high numbers. So just to remind everyone that, because somebody asked me that question. Otherwise, Rose and Debbie, anything you want to add?
No, I just want to thanks Carrie again. And as I mentioned earlier, we will not be meeting next month. Of course, we are having our the fair at Brooklyn College, and I'm hoping to see everyone there at the fair. And then we will resume the Family Provider Information Committee again back in September, right? So wanted to wish everyone a great summer. If I don't get to see you at the fair, but I'm hoping to see everybody at the fair. So thank you everyone for being on today.
This is Deborah. I want to thank everybody who came today. All your announcements will be on the chat. Christopher will be saving it. We do put it on the advisory as well as the Brooklyn, send it to Brian to put on the DD Council. I hope everybody, if you have thoughts or concerns or you have subjects you would like for us to have speakers in the next coming year, please let us know. We're very open-minded to having different speakers because we need to know what services are out there. Again, I wish and I hope to see everybody. Please stay for the next meeting for the Legislative Committee meeting, as well as please show up Monday for this Brooklyn DD Council's meeting. Also, the next day will be the Brooklyn Family Support Advisory Council. We hope to see you there too. I want to thank everybody, and with that, that's it. We're just going to wait for Lucina and Maria Wills will take over and be.
They're
Good
here,
morning. Sorry, I had a
they're here.
prior
So just
engagement.
to
Sorry,
remind
I got in a few minutes to hear. I'm Carrie speaking. Thank you,
Good
Carrie.
morning.
Good morning. I'm glad to hear because I had some parents were calling about learning disabilities. They're individuals with learning disabilities. So I'm glad to know that, the library is doing a lot of work, resources for that, because some parents, when they get that, they get so flustered about, oh my gosh, my child is not, is having different behaviors because they can't, read appropriately at their age. And I'm glad that you have that resource, Abby. I have 2 or 3 parents I'm going to sure send that way to get some resource, because sometimes they don't even know how to ask the teacher, how to refer them, what kind of referral and what resources are out there. So I'm very glad I came in the right time to hear about the learning disability. Because a lot of our children are out there and the parents doesn't know the right questions to ask or how to, speak to the teacher about what are the resources, and just labeling the child and just giving the child an IEP. And when the child doesn't need an IEP, the child just needs extra resources. Thank you so much. I'm glad I got that. Good morning, everyone.
Thank you, Lucina. Before you start, you guys got to give me a second just to remind people, just to remind everyone, the provider information meeting is now ended. We're now switching over to the legislative committee. We'll just give them at least 2 minutes, give everyone a chance to go to the bathroom. I'll get a pen and paper, and then we'll
Thank you,
restart.
Chris.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce welcome to the legislative committee. At this time, we're welcoming Lucina
Willis.
Clark and
Always
Maria
calling her
Wilson,
Wilson.
the co-chairs who are here. Wilson.
Willis,
Don't sue
Willis.
me. But anyway, today, okay, guys, I need one microphone on because it's causing static. Let me introduce them. We do have some good news about the budget, Lucina, and I do
Okay,
have that
thank you,
presentation ready.
Miss Willis, Chris. Chill. All right. Good morning, everyone. We
Yeah.
put each other's name, but
Don't
that's
sue me.
all right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I heard that our governor will be here in the city this morning, doing something about giving out monies. Apparently, I don't know how true that is. So I was supposed to go to that meeting, but I couldn't. I really couldn't make it this morning. But hopefully I get some details from someone who is attending. So welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. Maria, thank you so much for being co-chair. Actually, Maria was the one that get all the juicy legislators information, and because she's always up in Albany and always there as part of her position, which is really, really, really good. What I'm looking forward to is for our June 18, where we'll be having our table, as legislative committee, so we're able to help support the families when they come in, about the importance of their own advocacy and really connecting with their officials. I was to reach out to Kay, but I'm so happy that Amanda, I've known Amanda. I didn't realize Amanda is a part of IAC now. So I know Amanda for a while. So hopefully speaking with her to get some information or some flyers or some appropriate wordings. So as the parents connect to the legislators, they know what to say and how to say it. Because, sometimes we go speaking to people because the passion and the love we have for individuals, sometimes we may get, not as appropriate in asking our questions, or because the passion we have when we see the injustices going on out there for our families, it can be very daunting, so we have to be able to help our parents get that voice, how you set the tone even in speaking and what can you say, so they don't feel intimidated. Because now you feel intimidated when you go to these people's offices sometimes, and to show that you are not intimidated, you're just being a parent, you're being an advocate, and you're just asking for the resources and for their support when they go into the office, to be true to their word and saying supporting individuals with a disability. So that's one of the things. Maria and I are going to reach out with each other and see, find a day in our schedule we both can sit together and look at the format for that time and what will be appropriate to, to say or to give to the parents so that they can feel truly, truly empowered. So Maria, thank you so much. You have anything to say?
You're welcome, Lucina. Basically just repeating some of the things that is important that family members, not only the providers, have a really relationship with the
Oh, we're not hearing.
about the budget. I don't know how good the news is. We didn't get what we've been asking for. There was a little something, but it's not what we've been asking for.
Yeah.
Ladies, I do have the PowerPoints here, and I did get some elected official ones they sent to us. So I have it on
Okay.
I have it on the
Okay.
PowerPoint on the next
But just
page
briefly
if
to
you're
say,
ready.
it's retro till April 1st, but clearly, we are not a priority as we should. Because we only
Maria, you're
received
going
the
in and out of your microphone.
2.6. And it could be because of all the pressure coming from the federal government in terms of the cuts. So they probably didn't have that much wiggle.
Maria, Mike is going in and out.
Those and other major industries. I don't know if you want to go to the PowerPoint now, but we have to continue to push, let them get familiar with the service
Your mic is in and out, Maria. I know what happened to your mic.
that is very busy, like dinner time or breakfast time or buzzing time, so they could see how, it's not easy. It's not easy, and we have
I know your mic in and out, Maria.
in terms of providing the funds that we need to even pay the staff what they deserve, you know. So with that said, I'm gonna just
Thank you. Her mic keeps going in and out. But that is,
Maria,
that's the thing about,
yeah, I was
advocacy,
just gonna say,
we cannot just do it only the time when January, February, March, April, when we're about to do budgets. It is something constant. Is that's why trying that, we always send the emails to for parents to attend these meetings, to be a part of the Brooklyn Family Support also, and be a part of the legislative committee, or just even, sharing their information, because it's their voices are the one that have to be resonating, because they don't really want to hear most of our providers. When you think of the providers, like, we want to get more money so we can pay people, but pay ourselves. But sometimes too, we need to get as providers who have, the residents and, have the group homes or whatever, and doing more of these services for DSP. Yes, we have to do that advocacy, but also too, families have to talk about the importance of having the DSP in their home, and even sharing the stories. If you share a story about your DSP, how it is working for you, and without them, it can be more difficult. And the services, those are stories have to be sent as well, because they need to understand what it's like having a child with a disability and having to find the proper caretakers or providers for their children. So the voices are the stories as well. And probably we can do, Maria, like a story writing campaign, where they talk about having a DSP or having a person at home, and the importance of having these people in their home. Because everybody, listen, we talk about inflation, we talk about all different things. People want to live, they want to have enough money to pay their bills, and you can pay someone $10 or $12 an hour and expect for them to do as much. I know most people who do the self-direction, they are more flexible in how they can pay, their workers. I know, so not everybody does a self-direction. So people who mainly have self-direction, they have more flexibility of saying how much they can pay, or hire.
Mhm.
Most of the parents who rely on the Medicaid or Medicare to help them, it can be quite difficult. You are at the beck and call of the providers paying the amount of the minimum wage to the individual. So we just have to keep on, the parents have to keep on sharing their stories. Or if we don't have DSPs who are paid, appropriately, or paid the right cost of living, You know, I know we was saying somewhere the government like what $300 if you're making a certain amount of money. I mean, I know what $300 could do, but for some it might be able to do a lot. You know, so I don't know how they see these things and figure. I know how they do their calculations of what seems to be deemed feasible or deemed correct to give somebody a raise. I really don't know. So I think
It's not a raise. It's an inflation.
or inflation. He was saying it's inflation, but I don't know how much 300 can be as far as the inflation. I don't know. You know, they come up with their own thing.
8 million people in New York City.
Oh yeah, 8 million people. So yeah, that's a lot. He was saying 8 million people in New York City. So if 8 million people get $300 extra, that's a lot of millions. So hopefully they want us to be grateful for receiving that. So thank you, Chris. So we can have some
Yeah,
PowerPoint.
just before Chris put that on, I just wanted to add, because I was in a meeting this morning with DD providers and with NIAP. If you're a provider and you don't belong to an association,
We're missing you. Your voice. I know what happened to your mic.
New York, yes.
Maria, Maria, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but your microphone's
Yeah.
going in and out, and Lucina's trying to tell you that. All of a sudden, you spoke, then we lose 3 seconds of you.
Oh,
Even
I'm
Rochelle is even
sorry.
trying
I'm
to
not
get your
looking at my
attention.
phone.
Thank you,
Okay, can
Rochelle.
you hear me better now?
Yes, much better.
Can you hear me better?
No,
I
no,
had
no.
a fan on. That's what it
Yeah,
was. The
yeah,
fan was
but see,
blowing. So when it came,
yeah.
then okay. So like I was saying, thank you, Chris. Like I was saying, if there's anyone that's a provider here and you do not belong to an association,
Missing you again.
because together as a force is how we can make changes in the industry, right? Even though they gave the $300.
Her mic is missing again.
They spoke about in the meeting I was earlier in terms of providers putting monies into probably $1,000 a year into creating a pack because
Her mic. Maria, your mic keep going out.
advocate.
Maria,
still
there's a
can't
problem
hear
with
me?
your
No, it
microphone.
will come in like 2 seconds and it will just not hear you at
Hey.
all for about 3-4 seconds and cut off.
I don't see anything wrong on this end in terms
Yeah,
of the
and
mic.
it somehow you move. That's when you're just doing right now. When you talk, you move your head to your
Okay, so
your
let me
left.
keep my head to the
That's when
right
we lose
Yes.
you.
and I'll be short. Right here, you can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, let me
Think
stay
you're-
looking this way.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm just
That's
gonna.
strange. But anyway,
Go ahead.
um,
Go ahead.
they're what they're asking if providers can give $1,000 a year to a pack.
You're gone again.
We can't
For
hear
the
you. Marie.
industry.
Yeah, I think we're just having system issues.
It's
Not
gotta
Yeah,
be-
just
because
her.
everyone is there. Because
Yeah.
apparently Nigel too is having, he said he's not hearing too well also.
All right, so I'm not going to say anything else. Carry on, Chris.
Let's do the PowerPoint, Chris, that you have there so we can look into what is being said
Okay.
here. Because something probably wrong with this system because someone is, Rochelle is having a hard time too hearing.
Might be. Yeah, the problem is it depends if it's. Let me just say, I said this earlier. People who are on Windows 10 or 11, you have to make sure you update your hardware software because if you're switching to Windows, if you have Windows 10, it's starting to die a little bit because they're going to tell you have to switch to Windows 11. Second, I have mentioned is please check your systems. Yeah, and I know it's a microphone issue. Maybe sometimes the mics might not be, it might be acting up, but I'm hearing this not just at Ring Central, but also Zoom as well. So let's take a number.
Chris,
It's
someone
called
was
check your
asking, what
systems
about
both
Mac?
ways. But don't worry, Marie. We heard.
The MSC, if you
What do
have
you
a
mean
Mac computer.
Mac is the same. There is. Mac computers or Apple computers should be the same technology. It depends if they're updating. I don't deal with Mac or Apple. I eat the Apple, but I don't use
Thank
Apple.
you.
But let me just move on. Yeah, let me just say right now, and to answer your question, Lucina, earlier, it's 4 million, is what the governor's mentioning today at the press conference she had an hour ago. But you're still in the right numbers. These are the, this is where some areas of the 2076 budget, education, Holco's took some office, school aid opens, for free meal, free school meals open, opening up new TAP school districts are waiting for details. And school budget votes open to in new TAP school budget votes. This is more the education end of some of the pieces, and there's been a lot of new changes coming in. So there's still more details on the education division on this, but we see a lot. Looking at the 1 year approach budget for 1 year. Adding, now you guys mentioned about Medicaid and Medicare. We still need to advocate in the federal levels because that's still going an issue. We do need to, and I know Rochelle wrote some stuff. I'm going to look at that in just a second, Rochelle, because I'm multitasking at the same time. The chair of the Senate. Thank you for mentioning the senators and those elected officials. Guys, Rochelle put some information on the chat, so please share that as well. Please read that part of the chat because that's noted there. But as you see right here, this is all about safety, the hospitals, risks, the Medicaid and the waiver, 11115 waiver, which I know that the commissioners might be bringing this up at the statewide. I know some people did see the commissioner at a away conference. Brian was there, mentioned some of this stuff. Okay, let me just move on. Forgive me, some of the screen got a little messy because it's like trying to deal with a needle in a haystack. And I don't know why this thing got smushed together, but this is just to remind people, not just the MTA, but outside the MTA, this is also related that DOT has to work on accessibility, updating the curb cuts, street pavement, and more updates about the accessibility train stations. We're soon going to be, instead of being 104, it might be going up to 127 more. So there will be more details on that. And I'm just going to move on because this is all messed up here. Oh, sorry, I shot the gun. Sorry. This is part of, now, some of this has been going through. As you know, the capital project for the MTA has passed. That's one good news for the councils because this is the first time I ever heard both parties agreeing to vote unanimously. And I have checked with both official chairs, as Rochelle did put it into the chat. And I did get some elected officials, thanks to Jessica Spano, it's American, and Roxanne Prasad. Thank you, Lucina, putting that in, because at least now we have fun on the record. This is so far basing, this picture is from upstate New York, but this, or I'm sorry, this is Staten Island. Sorry, I'm looking at another picture somewhere. Basing the research of development disabilities, the funding, and we also need to remind some of our officials who represent one borough to another that you represent both boroughs. Let's get that running. This is another elected official that put this in. This is Assemblyman Robert.
I can't hear you, Chris.
I didn't speak. I didn't even say anything. I'm letting everybody look at it first. First of all, as you see, and if Carrie was here, she'll be happy because the library's mentioned. 13.2 million for the Brooklyn Public Library branch library repairs, because you know some libraries have to be renovated. And there are times I have to replace the whole building just to update it. This is also State Senator Robert. I'm sorry, Assemblyman Robert. Sorry, I almost promoted him. Just to let everyone know, regarding the education, there should be more details about it. I know the governor mentioned it. I didn't get a chance to listen to the video, but that could be. You guys can just go onto the YouTube channel or go to the governor's website. We'll put it in. I will put it in the link on that once we finish. Let me just move on to the next one. And actually, the Assemblyman Robert Carroll, chair of the Committee on Libraries and Education Technologies, definitely is going to continue working on a lot of new technology. Because right now, the MTA does have 2 new technologies: the Neverlands, that's just been upgraded, and the combo that helps sign language on your cell phone when you're at a customer service center or the reduced fare vehicle or some of the other state train stations that have it without the customer service center. And they want to increase the technology, as you heard Carrie spoke earlier, some of us who were there. So I'm going to move on to the next one. And I know somebody's been asking me for this link here, which I'll put it in the chat. This is another link that can also let you find your elected officials here.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you so much.
Ladies,
I'm
your
very
call.
pleased. I carry intruder. I'm very pleased about the learning disability and dysgraphia and the money's being placed for our individuals. You know, we know learning disability can be a disability. It's an education, academic disability, but also to make sure that that is being put in there. You know, again, for us, all we have to do again is making sure our parents understand the importance. I'm looking forward to the June 18th Family Support Fair, because a lot of parents will be coming out. We'll have a lot of information also to share, you know, and talk about what it is like to continue, because you'll always be an advocate. When you have a child with disability, you're always an advocate. You know, you always need to let your representatives, and they know. I am going to thank you, Rochelle, coming. I know Santa Post have a meeting today, but to just even send these notes to share, so that, you know, we appreciate they showing up to our legislative branches and even showing up to speak, and that we can acknowledge them for really thinking and fighting, you know, for us as they sit there in Albany. Rochelle, you have anything to say? Can you share some extra information to share? Oh, my mic isn't working. Oh.
Her order system is not working, so her microphone is off the fritz a little
Oh,
bit.
she
That's
said,
the
"Oh,
only thing
did I
you can
work?"
hear
Oh,
is-
I'm so sorry.
But
You know, I know Rochelle is always out there to making sure she gets information to empower the families that she's connected with too, and you know, I appreciate that, because you know, it's parents connecting to parents. You know, that's what it's really about, is parents connecting with one another, knowing that this information is out there. And I feel when we have that the family support next month, they will be there face to face with us, and they can ask a question, and they can be so much involved. At least if they have the paper with all these websites and stuff, Chris, you know, the website you just put on here, and we have all of that on a sheet of paper also to give the parents, like some of the things that we had Maria before. Remember, we were talking about, you know, how to advocate, what to say. So those things could be a nice little packet that we can give them, like, you know, how to connect with their representatives. So it should be really, really good. And I'm looking forward to that, because seeing them and, you know, having a table they can literally come, because sometimes people feel intimidated to ask questions, you know, and is, you know, how it is, you know, you present to them, they'll feel more empowered in asking, you know, the right questions. Anybody have any ideas or suggestions? Yes, Deborah, your hand's up.
Yes, it is. Well, first of all, hope everybody's registered to vote, because in my district, my former state senator Simca Felder is now city council, so we're having a special election to elect a new state senator, which is very important. Number two, in June, not the same day as the fair, but the day after the last Tuesday, there will be a primary for our mayor, for our public advocate, our controller, and of course the city council, as well as borough president. These are and there may be judges there too. This is very important, because we need to elect officials that are going to be responsive to the needs we have. That means our school system, for our younger ones. When our children graduate, they'll need the assistance too. Yes, I know our services are 90% paid by the state, but through the New York City Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, they do at times give funding. But we also know, I will tell you, that when certain, like City Council, State Assembly, State Senator, have extra funds called discretionary funds, we could push them to help to push funding for services for in agencies that need it, so our families can get more services. But it's very important, as long as you're a United States citizen and you're 18 or above, you have the right to vote. And I take that as a very important privilege that we should never give up. So this is important. Of course, we look forward to seeing everybody at the Family Support Fair. And we will make sure that the Board of Elections will have registration forms throughout the fair, because we want to make sure that people, even though our children have developmental, once they're 18 and they're a United States citizen, they have the right to vote. And I don't want anybody to give that up, because it's very powerful when you also, and I'm not saying you have to talk always to the elected official, but when you go in there to the office and say, hi, I'm a registered voter, and I live in your district, and I give them a picture, or show them a picture of my child, and I said, these issues are very important, and I would hope that you'll consider and keep that intact. Also, when you can, go to your local precinct council meetings, your local civic organizations, as well as your community board meetings. Elected officials and their staff show up there regularly. So everyone says, oh, Deborah knows that. Well, you know what? I've been on my local. And I let them know of issues that are affecting us. I know I'm not the only constituent, and I don't act that way either. But it see us at these different meetings, they also take us seriously, and it's an important thing. And yes, if your child is capable, or you feel they could handle it, bring them to the meeting. They need to see our children, because at times the misconception of what our children look like is not very nice. So if we can also, our children have the ability to go to the meetings, bring them. So that's my spiel. Okay?
Thank you. And it's important, because even though, you know, there's so many things, you have other community events in your neighborhoods, you know, some you have to go, let people see your individuals also. You know, I know sometimes our children, some may have some behavioral issues that is really a lot for some families to take their children out. But if you don't bring your children out in the community, how would other people see your children, know your children just as well? It's quite important, you know. And even as the providers, you know, I know we are very limited about politics and how we deal with that, but even send out information. Like when we do the June fair, we have more like have a resource packet, like a resource packet to give out to the parents. You know, I Chris with that email of the www.vote.nyc. So all these little things to have like a one sheeter, Maria, that we can have like a one sheeter with those things. So when the parents come in, they can have that. You know, we have to just constantly, you know, it's like beating, you know, you say like beating a dead horse, but no, we have to continue to because, and then now in this time with what's going on, whether it's federal, you know, state or even local, you know, being able, like Deborah's talking about the voting time, you know, if your child is 18 and older and is capable of voting, you know, exercise his or her right. You know, go with them to the polls. You know, so they can make, or even have the absentee ballots or whatever, make sure you understand what those things. So I'm glad that Deborah and they'll be having, hopefully, the forms to register, like Deborah was saying. Because when you go to complain to your, or have an issue with your politician, the first thing they ask you, are you a voter, a registered voter? Because you just walking in there, not even participating in this process is meaningless to them. Because like you're not doing your part, and why should I listen to you? And you're not even voting. You're not even a registered voter. Does your voice? I'm not saying your voice is any less, but when you are a registered voter and you go into their offices, like Deborah say, with your child's picture or whatever, they will notice you. They will notice who you are. So again, it's always about advocating. And I'm glad Maria and I going to find a time in our schedule we can sit and make like that one sheeter, you know, like all these things with the USA government elected officials. So at least it's easy. I tell parents, you know, everybody have their little phone now. You just Google it and it can be fine. Yes, Chris.
Yeah, one other thing, just sorry for the echo. My echo. The other thing is during the summer times, it might be 88, 35, 5, and forgive me of the echo, but we do. But you know, the elected officials, if they see you guys doing an event in the summer for 8835. Or, you know, the first Tuesday is National Night Out Against Crime, and you do see the officials there at that local precinct. National Night Out Against Crime is another way of getting your elected officials, even their staff. Because what we're seeing lately, not all the staffs are aware, or some staff do take it seriously. Some staff will not take it easy, will not make it easy, or not even let the official staff, the main elected official, that assembly, that senator know. We just need to always, when we go in, have an agenda, have a plan, and show the respect. If they're going to show you disrespect, don't even say anything. Just do what you got to do. And you feel like they're not representing your community, that's where a voting comes in for a reason. Also, just to let everyone know, since Deborah mentioned voting, there is one piece that I'm going to add in for accessibility. There is an accessibility ballot. If you're registering to vote, you can request for an accessibility ballot that will come to your email, and then the envelopes will be mailed to you, and then you can just do it's similar like a ballot marking device, but your ballot marking device will be on your computer. Or you can, as Carrie said, the computer is always available at the libraries. Once you put that in, it will assist you to make sure you can print out the document, put it in the envelope, and you can bring it to the board election or the day that you were supposed to go voting or early voting. They have those special boxes that you can put in as well. So you do have the option of doing that. You don't have to wait on that line. Or if, say, like you want to go on the ballot market device at that polling site that you belong to, and all of a sudden the BMD doesn't work, you do have a second option as well. So just to everyone know, there are some procedures in Board of Elections that, you know, since Debbie and I are on their Board of Election ADA committee, they have encouraged people to please do that. And I have mentioned to them that they need to do a little more of outreach on their end as well. And I know they came last year. They can either come to our fair in June because they're getting ready for primary, but I will be getting those pamphlets, how to register in person as well. But that's all I got to add.
Thank you so much. Listen, any information, which can be helpful to our families are so important. And does anyone have any ideas or concerns? Rachel, I know you're writing something, and I know you can't really speak. I think we should include information about you have 2 does. So I was saying, can you please finish your statement?
I think I can you hear me? Because I'm having
Yes.
audio issue. It says, I think we should have materials on the potential impact of the federal cuts on people with IDD and all New York City families. The House budget will likely be done before our support fair. And that's from Rochelle.
Okay, thanks, guys. It's because it cut off on my.
It's in the chat.
Okay, because it cut off. All right, now I see because cut off in the part of my information.
And I did listen to the Committee on Energy and Commerce yesterday when they were doing the markup on the budget. And it was basically the Democrats against Republicans. The Republicans insist that they're just trying to cut waste in the budget because they feel people that do not deserve the Medicaid are the ones that are getting the Medicaid and Medicare. And a lot of Democrats did show pictures of people with disabilities who will be affected greatly if Medicaid is cut. But yesterday they were hours debating what should be cut, how much should be cut, and it's basically Democrats against Republicans. So we have to continue to advocate, especially those that have Republican legislators, insist that they do not cut Medicaid because it will greatly affect all the population that we serve, all the individuals that we provide services to, even the services, the prescriptions, everything will be cut if they cut Medicaid. So let's continue to advocate. I agree with Rochelle.
Yeah,
Let's
and the thing
continue
is,
to
yes, I know
push.
we're looking at the news. They want to talk about doing a copay. I know how true that is. I mean, can you imagine you can afford paying a copay for Medicaid? I mean, most of us can't even afford the copays that we pay now to go to our regular doctors. And that is one of the things that families have to realize. If I don't speak up, if I don't do what I need to do, how it's going to affect us. Yes, Deborah.
Also, a lot of us are of the age where we're members of AARP, and I constantly check when often I do send the emails. I put it on social media, Facebook. I try to get onto all their pages to the best of my ability. And it does help. Of course, you get some people like I praised an elected official. So for some people, I'm called an idiot. And they're laughing. I look at them, well, you can laugh all you want. You have the right to your opinion. But I won't respond back to the idiot, to the person who called me an idiot and the other ones who are making fun because they're not living in the situation I am. And if they want to believe the fantasy, let them believe it. But to me, it's more important that my elected official accepts me. But we need to make sure that we go on all of their social media pages, from Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter, Instagram, whatever. Yes, Instagram, you have to go on everything. You do. And also when it comes to emails and texts, yeah, don't threaten them, just be truthful.
Mm-hmm.
If you cut the program, I won't be able to work, so you lose a tax base. Also, when you say it's not wasteful when you pay people really good salaries to work with our children, because that is a great skill and a job to have. And, this helps people. So don't look down your nose at it. It's like, that's the problem. They make it that it's a lowly job. It's not a lowly job. It should never have been treated and should not ever be treated. It's not lowly. Anybody that is capable of working with our population to take care of our children, especially ones with intense behaviors or physical challenges, I consider them miracle workers.
Mm.
And we always do that because
they're passionate and they care.
society will look down at us if we don't take care of our children. And that's
Mhm.
due to what happened with Willowbrook 50 years ago.
Yeah, and
So
that with
we have,
Willowbrook, yep. Because I know last Saturday, Miss Goody was honored with OPWDD at the
yes, she
Willowbrook,
was.
the whole shebang. Because Sunday was her birthday, she turned 94. Yes, Rachel, even $30. I mean, some families can't even afford $30 copay. But some people can't afford that extra money. Because if you have to see a doctor many times, and you figure you have to see the doctor like 3 times for that month or 4 times, that's like $120. It's a lot. It is a lot for families to do that. And then when your child, he sneezes there and then your allergy season is up and all different things, you have to be running your child to the hospital or to the doctor. It is a lot of money, $30. Because if twice a week your child is had to be sick and you went in, went out, come back in, you have to pay that copay. You're looking at really over $200-300 a month. And then don't talk about the medication. That's a whole nother, it's cruel. We have to be able to say, listen, this has to stop. So, again, like Deborah was saying, sorry, when we're supposed to use social media, we don't use it. And we should be using that, just like Deborah said. You don't have to be cruel or nasty, but it's, how you say it. And hopefully, Maria, as we do this and get all the information, things that people can say, little blobs, little lines of what you can say, even if you go on social media, we appreciate you being in office, but what are you doing to help our families, or even make sure the DSPs are paid at a decent rate? Because some of us, none of us want to put our children in our residentials or homes. Some of us want to keep our children at home. And the cost can be very, very high for some of us to even survive, whether with a little Medicaid or whatever Medicaid, because some get Medicaid and Medicare. And some just get Medicaid only or just Medicare as they get older, or individuals, because you're constantly fighting to keep Medicaid and Medicare or Medicaid only. So it's always a constant fight. So, I mean, this was such a really good discussion, and we have to really, keep on just reminding as we meet another parent. The same thing I always tell our parents, make sure you know who your representatives are. I mean, thank God most of our representatives, our parents always visit their offices, or they'll show up to something we have, an event or something, and they participate. So that's a good thing. Thank you, Chris, for all
One
these
thing,
things.
one thing I wanted to add that parents can mention also when they visit the legislators that at the state levels, the state-run facilities, the DSPs or direct care workers get a much higher salary. But the nonprofit providers, we carry 85% of the individuals we provide services to, the majority, 85%. But our DSPs do not receive as close of salary that the state receives. So we want to make them whole, and they're doing the same work. So why can't they get
The
paid the
same
same
pay.
rate?
Yep.
Yeah, the same pay. We're doing the same work.
Yeah, the
So that's something
discrimination.
that they could mention to the state legislators, that they bring it to their attention. The state employees get paid more than the nonprofit employees to do the same work.
Right. They should have the
The
same
same work.
pay scale. Yes, Rose.
Yeah.
Rose has the hand up. Thank you, Maria.
Yeah. I was just alluding to what Maria says. That's been an ongoing conversation. Actually, I was in a call with New York Alliance, and it came up again about like why is it that downstate DSPs are getting less pay than upstate, that they have to take a look at that, right? At least get it as close as possible. My staff are making 17, they're making 16.50 or 17 to 18, and they're making like 22 and up. So it's like, how can we find a balance? At least get our DSP to 20, right? So 22 point something. So yeah, I know there's a conversation going on. It's been brought up I've been in several committees, and I heard they're talking about it, but I haven't heard any update as to where we are. But it is a conversation.
But I don't understand why it should be such a disparity, because this state is OPWD hire us or pays us, to hire the individual. So I don't see why such a disparity when it should be across the board, because the state job. So I don't understand. I mean, that's one of the things we have to look at a lot, because if it's the same state job, why is the salary so different? Because we are providers of the state. We are providers of OPWDD. So how come OPWDD is paying, upstate or within there under the state of New York, more money than, I mean, that should be another one to that we can bring up about Maria, looking at why is there such a difference? It's not the same, and you're doing the same work. Because there's no finesse in having to take care of someone, with a disability or not. It's a care
Yeah.
that is being
I don't
placed.
know if this state, I don't know if this DSP, I have to find out. That's a good disparity. I don't know if the people that work for the state actually had to take it, like a state exam. I'm assuming, right? State job, they have to take probably a state exam in order for them to take those DSP
No, I
work. Because
don't
that's
think
the only thing
so.
with the
For
state
the
jobs, that's a
DSP,
difference.
no,
No?
they don't have
Yeah.
to take an exam. No, they
That
just
would be the only
apply.
thing I could think of
Yeah.
as the difference. Because I know state jobs, a lot of them you got to take
Yes,
some
some of
sort
it's
of
like
a
tiers.
test. Yeah.
Mhm.
So
No,
I'm
they
not sure.
don't though. They
Okay.
don't. They don't.
Wow.
And another disparity also, for those that have day program, individuals that come from the state to nonprofit day programs, they are considered a high level or high risk at the state facility. But when they come into the day program, they are not considered, or they're not considered high level, which means that the rate is much less. So that's also a disparity that we see in the system. If they consider the individuals to be a high priority or high level in terms of the care that they need, why when they come to the nonprofit day program, they're not considered that,
Rochelle,
right?
that's
So
correct.
the pay level is lower. Yeah. So
Rochelle was
that's something
saying,
else that we could bring.
yeah, the main explanation is that they care for their complex individuals. All individuals with a disability has some kind of complexity. It does matter. So it means to say because your child is ID or autism is a different complexity. Is there complexities in all disabilities? It's just, how it is seen and what services are provided. So you can't pick and choose. That is so true, Rochelle. Not true. I mean, again, the discrimination again in all ways, even at the state level for our individuals who are labeled with a disability.
Rochelle said in the text that the OPW program, they start their salary at $27 an hour.
What?
The DSP.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know it was that high. I thought it was
I didn't know it was
22.
that high. Yeah, I thought it was 20
Yeah.
something.
It is 27.
Oh, $27 an hour. And we start at 15 and 16.
Yes.
That's terrible.
That's why
That's
people
really
will leave, go other places, and that's why most of the providers don't have as much DSP working, because what's the sense? Now you can go into some people go to McDonald's, flip a burger for that price. Why would I have to come and stay here and get your child beating me up or just having behaviors that I myself cannot handle? I mean, these are good conversations. I like what Rochelle has said, but we can figure out more this OPWDD, why it is, because they're state. We are operated by the state, and we are part of OPWD as a provider. That is a good budget issue too, because we want to keep our workers. Some of us have some really good workers, and then they get another job, they leave us because of
we
not
have
the pay.
workers. We have workers because the salary is not enough that are living in shelters or living with other family members because they can't afford the rent.
Yeah, because rent is very
That's
expensive
bad.
too. It's sad.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Yes, Chris.
One thing that we got to remind the agencies with the families that if you're having these problems, they should be attending the committees, the DD and the advisory, because that's why we did the Maryland Disability Resource Fair.
Yeah.
And that's another
So
reason
we
why
just have
need
to have
continue after
clear
it.
messages. Just sending out messages. And I think, I'm so excited about the family support there, because at least you'll be seeing other people. So you have some clear message about your involvement, Don't just show up and then you come up to the resource fair. Then sometimes some of these families come to the resource fair where their kids should be in a program. They're not in a program because they call and they get turned down and they're like, I don't want to be involved. There's too much information. But you got to come out. As long as you have a child with disability, you will always have a lot of information. There'll be a lot for you.
You're correct. I have a young lady. I referred to Deborah. who's having issues. Her daughter, I think is 2. She's having issues with her care coordinator who
No,
doesn't
no,
have all the information she
child
needs.
is 4. Child is 4.
Say that again. Oh, 4. 4?
4,
Is she 4 already?
4,
Oh my God.
4,
Yeah. So
4.
she's hearing things elsewhere that the care coordinator is not giving her. So she kind of have to feed the care coordinator the information for the care coordinator to get the services that her daughter needs. So I did refer her to Deborah. I said Deborah is very knowledgeable.
Yes, you did help her,
So,
but
and then I told her about the Zoom meetings that we also have and the support share, but
yes,
I did refer her to Deborah for that assistant. Thank you, Deborah, for that
you're
so
welcome.
much.
And
She's
we
a
know
young mother, and that's her first
Yeah.
child.
we know she's a young mother. Every parent that comes to us, we help them to the best we can. I did ask her to, with them registering her for the Family Support Fair, and make sure she had the website address for both. I also explained to her that, remember, if a child is from birth to 8, they're provisional. It's not, and I explained to her, it's not my rules. I also told her if you're not happy with your care manager, you have that right to talk to the supervisor. And if you're still not happy, you have the right to change to another. The reason I told her to come to the fair is whatever issue she has, I want her to talk to someone from the Brooklyn DDRO because they're the ones who do changes. And she was very pleased with what I said. I must have made her happy because so I'm doing the best I can. The only thing I'm just going to say this to everybody, whether we're parent or professional, there's more need than there are services for our population. And I'm not being unrealistic, I'm being very realistic. I mean, I wish we had everybody could get services immediately. Another thing, we have to all educate ourselves on this. OPWGD doesn't control Medicaid, so when you're applying for the waiver, it is through Medicaid, and they investigate, and they take a very long time. Even me, and everybody knows me, and I still have to wait with my child. Same thing. So I tell everyone, don't take it personally, but this is what happens. But they are able to partake in whatever family support services we have. That is not paid by Medicaid, that's paid through state dollars. So
Yes,
just like,
welcome.
hold the
11:39.
we have to help and hold their hands. So what can I say? But we'll keep advocating, and I'm looking forward to our
Yes, sir.
family support fair. Thanks, Maria. And
Yeah,
you
it's
too,
tough. You know what?
Lucina.
It's so good how we have the connectors, you know? Thank you, Maria. And you're more than welcome, you know, because sometimes when I am stuck too, I always say call Deborah and they at, you know, the Brooklyn family before they come to me sometimes because they have more
Well,
expertise in the OPWDD, you know, so they can help them through that process. Because that process is a difficult, challenging process. Anything with OPWDD has a lot of challenges. So, but thank you all so much. I have to run to another meeting as well, but thank you all so much for all your input. Thank you, Rochelle. Sorry your phone was not working. Oh, she's a newly released CEO evaluations on OPW. Okay, perfect. Over 500 pages. Yes, parents gonna read that. 500 pages.
Yes, sir. I'll try.
I agree with you, Rochelle.
Okay. All right, ladies, have an amazing, amazing weekend. I hope you all
You
had an
too.
amazing Mother's Day last
Thank
week.
you. Take care,
And
everyone.
all be blessed. Be
care.
well.
Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you. Bye.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Maria, you and I will
Bye.
connect.
Bye-bye. Yep.